Rise of the Beasts is the brand new Transformers film, the seventh of the overall franchise, sixth of the main Transformers films. This one is, for the first time, not directed by Michael Bay. This one's directed by Stephen Caple Jr., is coming off of directing the 2018 film Creed 2. This one stars Noah Diaz, played by Anthony Ramos, Elena Wallace, played by Dominique Fishback. Ramos's character is someone who's ex-military, is under a family with a single mom and a very younger brother who is sick, and he's been struggling to get a job since leaving the military. He runs into Elena, played by Dominic Fishback, who is an intern at a museum, and she has a lot of historical and artifact facts that will help in this story. For the Autobots side of it, Optimus Prime leads the charge as they finally have an idea of where this key is that could send them back home, back to Cybertron, as they're currently stuck on Earth. Scrooge, voiced by Peter Dinklage, is the villain who is trying to stop the Autobots and to go into all these different planets and destroy all of them. This also movie joins the Mammalobots, who is also led by Ron Perlman as Optimus Primal. The film is 2 hours and 7 minutes long and is PG-13. Welcome back to a brand new movie review. We're talking about Transformers Rise of the Beasts here on Max Talks Movies. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, ring the bell. I do movie reviews, TV show reviews, movie rankings, and a box office breakdown show. For movie rankings wise, this upcoming Tuesday, my new Transformers ranking will be out here on the channel, so stay tuned for that. Comment down below. Did you like this movie? Did you not like this movie? Are you done with the Transformers franchise? Are you not going to see it this weekend due to you being done with the Transformers franchise? Do you like the non-Michael Bay Transformers with this and Bumblebee, or are you just overall just finished with this franchise? Or was this a pleasant surprise for you in the movie theater? Also, please like the video, the thumbs up button. That's how you support this channel. So going in, obviously, I don't really have much excitement for this franchise. Obviously, the animated movie did really well, but really, as it comes down to, I grew up with all of the live action films. The very first Transformers live action came out when I was 5 years old. So I think I've seen basically all of them in the movie theater before. So it's a franchise where as a kid, I definitely like those movies. The more I watch them now, the more I don't like the Michael Bay movies. Bumblebee was definitely a pleasant surprise. It's not a great movie, but it's a great movie as it compares to the rest of the previous four films for me in this franchise. But this is a big test. The first non-Michael Bay Transformers film, like main Transformers films. And compared to Bumblebee, which took place in the 80s, this continuity now where we've moved into the 1990s, this movie takes place in 1994. But I was just excited to see if there was a fresh take and different. And what I'll say is, again, this is another pleasant thing for me. This was a absolutely surprise of a movie where I really did just have a blast watching this movie from start to finish. The Michael Bay movies for me were just getting to a point where it was 2.5 hours or bust, some of them even 3 hours long. And they were just tough watches, especially when the majority of the film were not about the robots fighting each other, but the humans themselves. And luckily, this movie is a very tight 2-hour runtime with credits. It's a great just theme park ride from start to finish. And I think the biggest surprise of the film is that these are finally comparable human lead characters. Both Anthony Ramos and Dominique Fishback have proven themselves outside of obviously these films that they're excellent actors. And obviously they're fantastic in this movie as well, but they're finally pretty solid characters, especially Noah, played by Anthony Ramos. He's probably the most compelling lead human character we've gotten in any of the Transformers franchise. As I said, has a single mom, has a younger brother who's very close with, who is getting sick, and he just can't pay the bills. They have no health care. And he has a reputation after he left the military that a lot of places just aren't taking him for jobs. And I think one of the most compelling aspects of the movie is the similarities, the differences that they think they have between Noah and Optimus Prime. They feel that they are kind of out odds for the majority of the movie, because this basically the MacGuffin of the movie is this key that could, for the villains, destroy all these planets, but for our heroes, send back the Autobots back to Cybertron. There's a really compelling back and forth dynamic between Noah and Optimus, because they're both trying to lead their own people. Optimus is kind of the big brother to his group, led once again, you have Bumblebee back in the mix. You have a new Transformer who's like one of the main Transformers of the film, Mirage, played by Um, Pete Davidson, voiced by Pete Davidson, who brings a lot of the comedy into the movie. He's kind of the one who gets Anthony Ramos' character involved. But Noah's also has a lot on the line. He's trying to make up for a lot of wrongs in his life, all the things that he has fallen short on. And with that is him protecting Earth. He has a responsibility to himself to protect Earth, and he doesn't really feel that this key can help both sides. But Optimus, and there's a lot of back and forth, and I found it to be shockingly compelling back and forth relationship between Noah and Optimus Prime throughout the film that I really liked. But Anthony Ramos, a compelling lead actor, I think, for this franchise that they desperately needed. Not just a regular human who just screams in terror every time robots start fighting each other. There's a reason for both characters to be here, especially Noah's character, Anthony Ramos' character in particular. Other than the human characters, this is easily the best Transformers action we've gotten by far of any of the other films in this franchise. Yes, they finally lose this CGI and visual effects for use. There's not going to be action scenes in the dark or so close up and shaky cam with Michael Bay that you can't really see anything that's going on. You can clearly see the action, and the third act of this movie is awesome. It's the most Transformers action we've kind of been waiting for the last 20 years, really 15 years with this franchise. We've been waiting to see all of these different characters, especially when you get the Autobots and the mammal type Transformers fighting against our villains. It's so much fun. And you can see everything that's happening. I think from a visual effects and CGI point of view, this is a fantastic achievement. It just seems so easy, and it's not. You can tell how much money is put into this movie and how much work the CGI visual effects people put into this movie. It is, first of all, a gorgeous film with a lot of different locations. There's like a jungle. They go to Peru at one point. They make 1990s New York feel very much like the 1990s. Even from a production design point of view, I quite enjoyed this movie. But obviously, from the visual effects point of view, and a CGI, it is a gorgeous movie from that point of view. The Transformers interacting with the humans does not look really bad, and the action scenes just are awesome in this movie. It's an absolutely roller coaster ride in a very much a good way, and it's kind of the action we've all been waiting for with this franchise. And another thing that I just was surprised about with the Michael Bay movies, it was so much forced humor, and I felt like this is the movie I think really did crack the code with the comedy, where there's not too much comedy. Yes, this movie is very cheesy, and we'll get into that. But there are some genuinely really good jokes and bits throughout the entire film. Especially there's one good bit in the first act between Optimus and Bumblebee, which I thought was very funny. But there are some just out of nowhere, just funny jokes, and it's not forced. It's not a robot humping Megan Fox's leg. It's nothing like that. It's actually like genuinely some funny humor that's also sprinkled in throughout the film. Now, there are obviously some negatives. This is definitely not breakthrough, groundbreaking storytelling in the Transformers franchise. As always, there's an artifact that's been sitting around for 1,000 years that our heroes want, and that the Autobots want, and that the villains, the other form of Transformers, also want. And the MacGuffin overall just isn't that interesting. That's whatsoever. I wish we could have seen like maybe glimpses of what the negatives could have been. They kind of showed like a 30-second thing about that. But the MacGuffin itself wasn't that interesting. It was the most cliche and Transformers formula as ever. Every movie needs an artifact that our characters are going after. And I felt like Elena's character, while I really like Dominique Fishback, you can tell sometimes she was kind of just pulled out of nowhere to do this. But again, her and Ramos were great in the movie, and I really like that character. Just sometimes it feels like kind of forced to have this artifact wizard basically on our team who happens to stumble into the Transformers. The villains, I think, could have been a lot more used better. In the beginning, when they came on screen, I was like, this is kind of interesting. And they just don't get that much screen time, especially in the second act of the movie. And I think they could have actually felt like genuine more some threats to our heroes. But due to this also taking place in the 1990s, a lot of the stakes do get pulled down because you do know where these characters probably are heading to later in the films. But still, it's definitely formulaic, and the MacGuffin itself isn't great. And I do think for the comedy, while it's definitely better than all the movies, it can definitely be hit or miss. And I really enjoyed Pete Davidson's Mirage in this movie, an excellent addition to the main Transformers cast. But kind of there was some humor that was clearly hit or miss. And for me, it was kind of like 60-40 hit, 40 miss. So there's definitely that element of not really laughing throughout. And the first two acts are definitely formulaic and cliche and nothing great. It really is when the third act happens, this movie definitely goes on a whole other level. So overall, a genuine good time in the theater watching Transformers Rise of the Beast. Definitely go see this in the largest screen that you can. I think if you're definitely a big Michael Bay fan, this might not be the film for you. It's definitely not totally different from Michael Bay films, but there's no Michael Bay, obviously, isms in this film. If you're already out of this franchise, I'm not sure this will get you back on the train. But if you've been waiting for a genuine fun and just a fun, turn your brain off Transformers film that doesn't have too many offensive or stupid things, not any offensive or stupid things really going on, you have a good time with Transformers Rise of the Beast. I'm going to give the film a 3.5 out of 5. I'm going to go 66%, sorry, 67% for Transformers Rise of the Beast. I really did have a good time with this movie. You know what? Let's do it. 68%. I don't know why I keep going up. 68% for Transformers Rise of the Beast. That's my review for this movie. Ranking for the franchise will be on Tuesday. I'll see you guys soon.